All right, we are going live. Hello and welcome to another edition of KloobySnack Time with yours truly, Coach Jeffrey, and the one, the only Abby Klubeck. We're joined by one of our favorite friends in the world, Patty Blakesley. It's been a while since we've seen you, so it's good to have you on board with us here. And this is it's the 28th week of the year, so we're in snack number 28. We're in the third baker's dozen, which means we don't have a whole lot of snacks to review. So let's just warm up a little bit. Abby, how's your week been?
My week's been really good. A lot of college stuff, a lot of class registration. We got our room assignments, getting all my dorm stuff. It's crazy. Everything's really picking up, and I'm so excited. I'm like getting all my dorm stuff, and I'm just imagining living here and being in New York City. And I'm so excited. I'm picking all my classes, so I really can visualize my schedule and what my life is gonna look like in 30 something days.
Yeah, and then tell me, which means tell everybody, because you've already told me. Tell me about the dorm assignment in the specific building that you're in, and what floor you're on, and all of it.
The dorm building that I'm in is attached to the law building, which is really cool because I'm going for pre-law and hoping to do their program where you can get your bachelor's and your JD in 5 years. So that's really cool because I'm right on top of the law building, and then I'm also on the 19th floor, which means amazing view of New York City. This is the building. Hold on. I don't know how well this is going to work since I'm showing it from my phone. This is my dorm building right here. It's this is the law building. There's my dorm building. I'll be up there. It's beautiful. And I'll have such an amazing view of the city. And I'm so excited. So excited. And leaving 39 days.
Yeah, it's really starting to heat up. And I think it's especially exciting because last week your roommate was actually here in San Diego visiting and was actually got to make a KloobySnack appearance with you because she was hanging out in your bedroom when we went live. So there's, time is undefeated. The internet is undefeated and can't put this genie back in the bottle. It's going to go quicker and quicker and quicker. And I'm just super excited for you, Abby. Patty, let me say hello to you. Let's hear your voice. How have you been? And it's so great to see you tonight.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. I've been good. I was in touch with Charlie down in South Africa, and he encouraged me to attend. And I'm like, yes, I know. I haven't been there for a while, but I don't have a view like you are going to have, Abby. But I did get to see a lot of thunder and lightning this week, and we were under a tornado warning and all those good things. But all's well that ends well, and it's beautiful out today.
Awesome. Well, for anybody out there that may be watching, if you want to join in the conversation live, there's the link. It's like a very uniform link convention that we use. It's tinyurl.com/KloobySnack, and then whatever week of the year it happens to be. And this is the 28th week. Next week will be 29 and so forth. So, Abby, what do you got?
You also don't even have to actually type in the correct week. You can type in any number.
Well, any number 28 or lower will work. Do you know what I'm saying?
I always type in 1 and it takes me here.
Yeah. Because it's the same. It's the same link, but just for branding purposes or tracking purposes. Anyway, you're absolutely right about that.
You won't know what week it is.
I actually think I set the link all the way up through 39, all the way up through the third baker's dozen, which is what we're in right now. So anything up to 39, tinyurl.com/KloobySnack, 1 through 39 will get you here. And then ultimately 1 through 52 will bring you here into what we call the Klooby's Kitchen, is where we're cooking up our Klooby snacks. And so it's cool. Yeah. So by now everybody knows that we've got 4 baker's dozens. We started out with loving flavored, 13 Klooby snacks there. Then we progressed to ego flavored, which was really heavy. I mean, I thought it was really good. A lot of growth in that baker's dozen, a lot of introspection, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of paying more attention to our sense of self and having healthy comparisons to how we sense ourselves versus how the world may sense us. And, the reality that may be somewhere in the middle of all of it, right? And I say that to say this, because we're into discipline flavored now. And I think starting with last week's and again this week's as well, the snacks themselves and the discipline flavor, they could easily go in the ego flavor. I think that some of these snacks, like, does this fit better in ego or does this fit better in discipline? And there may be arguments or justification for either or. So I'm looking forward to what we've got tonight. Does anybody else have any comments or questions before we get into it?
Not me.
Okay. All right. Super, super, super cool. So just by way of review, like I said, starting off last week, starting off this section, last week's KloobySnack, the first KloobySnack in the discipline flavored, is we judge ourselves by intent while we judge others by their actions. You see what I mean? That could easily have gone in the ego flavored, right? Ego defense and the stories we tell to justify ourselves, and all, it's versus the differences that we see in others based on our sense of self and all of that. But it gets us started on the discipline track, because what we're getting at here is dedication. Like, what I should say this: one of the ingredients of discipline, when we're trying to understand what discipline is, I lean on M. Scott Peck from The Road Less Traveled. And he says, like, just a couple of things I'll pull from there. Number one, dedication to reality at all times. What's true? What's the reality? It's hard, right? We make up our story. We see things. We interpret. We attach pleasure and pain to our experiences. But can we dedicate to reality? Another thing is delaying gratification, doing what's difficult and necessary first, then what's fun, easy, and convenient later on. And then checking ourselves on this continuum of mental disease, where we're either taking too much responsibility for things or not enough responsibility for things. And constantly, I think it's a fun game to play. It's coming up a lot for me in my coaching sessions and other endeavors. What's the right amount of responsibility? Am I my brother's keeper? What is in my jurisdiction? What do I saddle myself with the responsibility for? And is that consistent with the game I'm playing overall in my life? Or is the responsibility I'm taking for this getting in the way of the responsibility that I could or should be taking for something else? I think it's a fun conversation to have, an important conversation to have. So when we look at last week's KloobySnacks, we judge ourselves by intent while we judge others by their actions. It's coming from this dedication to reality. What's the reality? Are we dedicating to story? Are we dedicating to judgment of others? Story to excuse ourselves, judgment of others to feel safer in ourselves? Or are we dedicated to reality? What's the truth? So having said all of that, ready? Drum roll, please. Ready, Abby?
Yep.
KloobySnack number 28. This one is heavy. I'm going to go ahead to screen sharing. You want to go ahead and read it out loud, and then I'll bring up screen sharing?
Wait, you're supposed to read this part.
It doesn't matter. We can be unconventional. You of all people know that.
Right. That's big.
All right, I'll read the KloobySnack. Here we go. All right, here we go. And we'll comment afterwards. Are you ready? The biggest problems with apology and forgiveness are the guilty verdicts they both require. Abby, go ahead.
As we've already covered, I hate being wrong. There's actually not much else I hate more than being wrong. Sometimes I will internally recognize my faults, but I would never admit that to others. If I'm the only one who knows that I'm wrong, that's one thing, but having to admit to other people that I'm wrong feels nearly impossible. That's where my difficulty apologizing comes from. I do hate when someone is upset with me, and I do strive to gain forgiveness from others. The easiest way to get said forgiveness, however, is through apologizing. I found that my apologies never sound very sincere because I word them in ways to make myself seem a little less guilty. I'm sorry that you somehow felt that way. I'm sorry that you thought I did something wrong. Though they sound sincere in my head, they don't look very sincere on paper. Admitting my faults is incredibly difficult, and it feels like a self-inflicted attack on my self-esteem.
Wow. All right. Well, let me leave this up a little bit. Patty, let me ask you first, and honor the time that you're taking away from your Sunday evening to be here with us. Just looking at what Abby's responded to, what stands out to you? What strikes you as interesting or refreshing or thought-provoking, or what from her response, or the snack itself?
Well, I think the snack is really insightful, because I don't believe that people kind of recognize that judgmentalness that comes into forgiveness, for example, or apology even. But what I love, Abby, is that you're so, and I think you hit on what most people feel is kind of, we're kind of addicted to having this facade on that everything's okay, but we don't want to really admit how deep sometimes we feel inside and how we don't show what we're really thinking or we're really feeling. Because I agree with you. Nobody really wants to admit, hey, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You don't go into the day going, hey, I want to be wrong today.
Never.
It's not an instinct. It's not something that we strive for. Moreover, right? And here's the thing, and it's not about wrong. It's just like I did something that I'm apologetic for. Or I'm recognizing the consequences of a behavior or decision. But that's what we do, right? We beat ourselves up, or we put this right or wrong, or we make it more difficult. And so for me, it's like just kind of like logical, right? You can't get to 3 without 2. I mean, or you can't get to second base without going to first base, right? It's a matter of logic. In other words, like apology. Apology sounds great, right? I'm sorry, and right? But apology for what? You can't. It requires this guilty verdict. It requires the behavior, and then forgiveness. Oh, forgiveness sounds great. You need to forgive yourself. You need to forgive others. Forgive for what? Right? And there it is. And that what part of identifying as a matter of fact, as a dedication to reality, as a healthy jurisdiction of responsibility for ourselves, right? This very difficult thing to admit, the guilty verdict. Like, ooh, I wish I didn't say it or believe that, or there's something I did, there's something I said, and I wish that I had not. All right? That's the hardest part. And then the forgiveness piece too. So in other words, both sides in this equation, the apology and the forgiveness, it's like apologizing for what? Forgiving what? And we have to pay attention as a matter of fact and as a matter of reality to the thing, whatever the thing is. But we don't want to admit that we were wrong. We don't want to admit that we did something. Sometimes we don't even want to admit that we're hurt. Like, oh, you need to forgive that person. Oh, they didn't hurt me. And we don't even want to admit that we got hurt. Enough to, we won't want to give in that way long enough to forgive, if you will. So what do you guys have to say about my comments in response there? Let's get out of screen sharing, because I think we're into a wonderful conversation. It's like just a matter of logic, right? 1 + 1 = 2, right? For apologizing for what? Oh, we don't have to talk about that. I'm sorry, okay? Sorry for what? No, I'm sorry, okay? Do we have to beat a dead horse? Sorry for what? Does that make sense? Like, what do you guys have to say about that?
Well, I don't know. For me personally, like, I've always struggled with the I'm sorry and the for what. Like, and I think I've gotten better recently at the I'm sorry part, but then that's the for what that I instinctually, like, if I'm saying like, oh, I'm sorry, if I did something to somebody, I'm trying to apologize. I'm always like, oh, I'm sorry that you, like, when I wrote in the thing, I'm sorry that you felt that way, or I'm sorry that you thought that I did this, or I'm sorry that you like took it this way. And I always insert a you into it, which in my mind, like, it frees me from that guilty verdict. And then I've always gotten called out for that. It's like how the insincerity of said apologies, and I was kind of confused. But now, after writing this KloobySnack, I've been writing my response to it, more aware of my wording in my apologies, because I don't even realize like the lack of sincerity that like inserting the like you feeling this way, or you took it this way, or you. I never had really thought about that until writing this KloobySnack. But yeah, so I'm trying to get better at both the I'm sorry and the for what part, but it's very difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult. And Patty, let's hear what you have to say here, because I'm getting ready to type a banner and make it a little bit more instructional. What do you got to say? Let me come back to you.
Well, I'm kind of thinking about the authentic power guidelines that Gary Zukav came up with. And one of the things he talks about is courage. And I think his first thing is take responsibility for my feelings, my experiences, and my emotions. And I think that, when I go to make an apology, I want to be conscious that I'm recognizing what is mine to own. And that's what came up for me was how you say something. Like, people, maybe somebody will share with me that they've had a bad experience, and I'll say, oh, I'm sorry. And they'll go like, well, you weren't responsible for it. And my sorry, my apology is sort of like, I'm sorry they had to go through that, but there's a judgment, which right. is what I love about this KloobySnack, is because it goes deep into that oh, well, I'm judging that what they went through was bad, and maybe it wasn't,
Maybe it wasn't.
right. And maybe it's something they had to go through. And for me to say I'm sorry is kind of worthless on one level.
Yeah, and so you're pointing out something that I love to play around with is our nonchalant use of language. And you wrote a book on this, Patty. So, our casual use of language can, get us into these uh-ohs in our communication, right? So it's like, that's why we've said in earlier KloobySnacks, questions are our friends, right? And when possible, replace statements with questions. So, I'm sorry is a statement. Right? Saying, hey, how do you feel about what's going on with you? Are you okay? Are you comfortable letting me know how this feels? Right? Or, hey, would you care to know that I feel empathy for you right now?
Right. Or
right?
what was that like for you?
Yeah, right. Rather than, oh, I'm sorry, you poor little thing.
Yeah, right.
which somehow makes it like they're suffering, so I feel better about myself, which is how ego defense works. Right.
Exactly.
Really cool. Abby, let me come back to you. I see your wheels spinning. What you got?
No, I was just thinking about how I think this is one of the ones that could also go in the ego flavored.
Right.
This doesn't. Then again, that might apply to every single KloobySnack in here. They're all intertwined. Every
job is an inside job.
Everything's multi-determined. But I think this is going to come up a lot, like now going forward, especially since we're already we have passed the halfway point. And I questioned that for a second, but we obviously did. We've passed the halfway point, so now everything's really building up, and I'm seeing the kind of interconnectedness between all of these, but also still at the same time, every KloobySnack is so different and so standalone, but still they all coincide and kind of work together, and it's interesting.
I mean, can I go a little further there, Abby? I don't want to overstep my bounds, but is it remarkable? it almost collects to a way of being, a way of doing, like almost a life philosophy or an approach to. But I'm just curious, somebody, when I explain the KloobySnacks project, one of the things that a couple people say is wow. When they understand what's going on, they'll say, and I'm going to ask you if it's true, wow, your daughter must see you in a new way, must see you in a new light, your daughter must finally see you, is actually what one woman had to comment on, past the tension and the barriers and the defense mechanisms and so forth. But hey, guess what? Do you see your dad as a wordsmithing, thought leading, creative, soft skill guy that's making his mark on how proud of me are you, babe? Let me know. It's kind of funny. I laugh a little bit, but is it remarkable as you see?
That was a rhetorical question.
Yeah, it was horrible. Are you enamored with the weekly experience? You read all of these snacks 8 months ago, but now you're living them on a weekly basis and you're having conversations about them and you can quote them automatically, they're burned grooves in your brain. And so it's starting to become part of your mosaic through which you see the world. So I'm wondering if you're any more enamored with this whole thing now than you were when we got started.
Here's what I will say. I think that when we're on these these weekly calls, I think it's really interesting how much you have to say about each of the KloobySnacks and how after we read it, you can jump to all these different points and go on sometimes kind of long tangents, not tangents, but you can talk so long about these KloobySnacks and what they mean and how you apply them or where they came from or different ways they can be applied or viewed. And you can just kind of go on and talk about each of them. And even though I'm sitting here just inside, I think it is really interesting and really cool how you can just go. And it's it's cool to see how one, passionate you are about these, but also just how much thought you're able to continually put into the KloobySnacks. I think it's really cool. So that's all I say.
All right, I'll take it. Patty, can you tell for me how wonderful that was? That was oh my God, can we bottle that and sell it? Anyway.
Well, it's interesting. I'm just kind of rereading this and, you talking about the guilty verdict, but you almost set that up by calling it the problem instead of you could have used a less.
I could have said challenge, barrier, hurdle.
You could have said that the most interesting thing about apology and forgiveness is the guilty verdict they often require.
For better or worse, once these KloobySnacks are written and interpreted, we lose control over the meaning. You know what I mean? There's actually a KloobySnack several weeks ago that Abigail and I both looked at it and we're like, how did that get through quality control? Because neither of us liked it, or neither of us actually would have written it that way. The way we actually almost like fully disagreed with it, the way it sounded and came out. Yet, but it made it through the editing process, etc. In this case, just for what it's worth, I'll say that the biggest, the synonyms might go the biggest challenge or barrier or hurdle or roadblock or impediment to, right? That's what I meant by problem, right?
I understand that. But
just, for what it's worth,
The thing is, it also brought up to me Ho'oponopono. Do you remember what that is?
No. If I ever knew.
Okay, so it's Hawaiian.
Okay.
And it is 4 statements. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And this is something that a doctor who was managing in a prison inmates who were violent, and instead of treating them, he took their folders every morning and did the Ho'oponopono. And over the months, their behavior changed, and they ultimately closed that whole wing of the prison because they were no longer violent and mean and rotten.
They were vibrating differently with the vulnerability.
His point was, we the society had made those people the reason to feel bad, instead of allowing them to just be who they were and not triggering those bad feelings. It's a very it's a true story that this doctor, I think, forget his name, but so it's used often as a way to just kind of diffuse the situation. And that's one of the things when you go to apologize or you want forgiveness or you're offering forgiveness, I think to diffuse the situation and just realize we're just humans having this experience.
Yeah, and so that's one of the reasons why this one could go so easily into the ego defense category, because it's our automatic, instinctual ego defensive wiring,
right,
that will get in the way of the guilty verdict. That is, basically, apology and forgiveness are beautiful. Apology, taking ownership; forgiveness, releasing and showing compassion. I mean, those are just loving things. But the barrier, what gets in the way, is our ego defense, and we need to be disciplined with our own ego defense mechanisms and committed to the loving behavior of apology and forgiveness, right? So what I wanted to set up is a 3-step. Now, Patty, you know this from the coaching and leadership training, okay? We use this when we're complimenting somebody. We want to be genuine, authentic, and real. So we make sure we do 3 things when we're structuring a compliment to avoid flattery, which gets you nowhere. And it's state the compliment, justify the compliment, and then ask them to justify the compliment. Well, I'm here tonight to argue. Are you ready for this? Drum roll, please. It works too with apology and forgiveness. So number 1, state the apology. I am sorry I raised my voice. That's it. No other smoke and mirrors. Just this is for, clarity on what the thing is you're apologizing for. I'm sorry I yelled. I'm sorry I slammed the door. I'm sorry I whatever it is. Then number 2, I say that because I understand that raising voice doesn't help anything, and there's a negative consequence when I raise my voice. It takes us further away from the matter that needs to be discussed, and it creates whatever it is, right? I'm just making this up. But basically, you're justifying what the apology is. I'm sorry for blank, and I say that because I realize X, Y, or Z are the consequences of blank. Right. And then the third part is important too, is then ask your beloved, whoever you're offering the apology to, ask them to justify the apology. And it would sound a little something like this, right? Abigail, I'm sorry for raising my voice. I recognize that when I raise my voice, I not only get us nowhere in the discussion, but I make us both feel bad about ourselves unnecessarily, or I just embarrass myself on my goal of being a great parent. Is there anything else I need to do or say in order to be forgiven? That's that third part right there, is asking Abby to justify my apology. Did I miss anything? Did I leave anything out? In me, my number 2, right? Did I address all of the things all of the hurts I really created? Or is there anything I'm missing? Like Abby could say, hey, Dad, thank you so much for owning that. There's one other consequence that I'd like you to be aware of that you didn't mention, but yeah, 100%. I forgive you, etc. Right? Now we can have a good dialogue, right? And even though I teach this, or I know this, I don't always do it because, like you said, Patty, I'm a human being, right? And I just want to offer it out there to the world that the 3-step approach, when you're complimenting somebody, when you're apologizing, like, I forgive you for blank. And right. I say that because despite the fact that you did it and that it hurt and created some damage, I know it wasn't your intent. And I know that you were in a state of mind that was compromised, and there's maybe other reasons there, but I forgive you. And now is there anything else we need to say or discuss in order to move past this, right? Are you comfortable with forgiveness around this? Whatever it is, right? So that's a 3-step approach to being thorough and sincere.
Well, and also to develop the dialogue back and forth, because the listener gets to decide what they heard.
You get it. Yeah, 100%. And so a lot of times what sucks out there in the world, if it's ever happened with you, it's like, I'm sorry, okay? And that's not an apology at all. I'm sorry. Fine. I'm sorry, okay? I said I'm sorry, okay? It's like, no, you said you're sorry just to end the conversation and to avoid the burden of proof and to avoid the guilty verdict. You said you're sorry, but you didn't really mean it, and you don't know what you're apologizing for. You're not understanding or owning the consequences of the behavior. You just want to get past the conversation, which basically almost guarantees the behavior is going to repeat itself, right? So I'm sorry without changed behavior is manipulation. I'm sure you've heard that quote out there, on and on. And the same thing with forgiveness. The same thing, I forgive you. It's fine. I forgive you. Well, what? For what? For what? And what, you know what I mean? So it just requires, like a tree standing up will get blown over, but a tree with roots will stand firm and steady. And this second and third step are the roots to it all. Let's I just wanted to offer that up. I think it makes for a pretty complete live stream. So here we go. Last call, unless there's any other comments or questions here. What do you think, Abby? What do you think about the 3-step? I'll put it back up.
I like it. I've seen it. I've heard it. I haven't seen it like formatted like this. I've experienced the IRL version.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it seems effective. Maybe I should start using it. I've been on the receiving end, but I haven't been on the. maybe I'll start applying that one a little more. I'm normally the beloved in step 3.
Yeah, you are the beloved. You're always the beloved. Patty, what about you? Anything on, like, you see how, like, you learn this in the coaching and leadership training,
right? No,
when we're building rapport.
I like it a lot because of that interaction between, to make sure that whoever you're apologizing to or forgiving or whatever really understands the depth of what you're saying, So I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, it also works, by the way, back to the idea of college, right? Hang on, exemplify. Abby, on short answer questions, when you're doing college exams, short answer, right? When you have to, like, do some writing, and your writing is not a problem for you. But it's the same thing. It's the same 3-step approach where you identify whatever concept you're being asked about, just to name a label, or just, right? Name 2 of the 4 purposes of listening. So you identify informative or evaluative, right? Just identify it. Then you explain, right? Evaluative listening is listening for the purposes of deciding how we feel. It's prior to making a blah, blah, blah. You explain or define that term as best you can. And then third step is, for example, when we're watching a political debate to make a decision on which candidate we prefer, we're listening in an evaluative sense to see who aligns with our values. That's one example of where this lives in the real world. So you state the concept, explain the concept, and look out to the real world about where that concept is exemplified for real. If you could do those 3 things, you're going to ace most short answer questions, because you're being pretty thorough and you're organizing your thoughts. I remember taking short answer exam questions and just writing stream of consciousness and going, oh no, I don't know how to do this. I don't know where I'm at. Like you can't erase and unpack, and the clock is ticking. And there's just a nice organized approach. Let me identify, let me explain, and let me exemplify or apply this in the real world. Even though I didn't spell it, I ready to correct my spelling.
It's okay.
Okay, there we go. There you have it.
I know. I was like, exemplify. Wait a minute.
Hey. Well, Patty, I don't know. By the way, while we're on the spelling thing, have you seen Patty? Your name? You typed it in really fast, I think.
Maybe I spelled it wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, right here.
It too.
BLSK.
That's a really great name. I like that.
Hey, it's
lack of vowels in there.
We're breaking all the rules on a Sunday night KloobySnack.
I didn't have my glasses on when I was doing that.
All right. Well, listen, here we've made it to last call. I think this has been another wonderful installment of KloobySnack time. And does anybody else have any final comments, questions, jokes, riddles, haikus, expressions of gratitude?
Oh wow, I wrote haikus last week, but I don't remember them. I was at a karate retreat. So I wanted to just say something because Abby commented about how you can kind of go on, Coach Jeff, when.
Yeah, she said she used the word tangent.
Well, but she didn't mean it in a tangent way. It's just that you can go deeper and deeper.
Right.
And I think that's one of the beauties of life. If we isolate any moment and we can really go into it, like what are the beliefs we're bringing to it? What are the experiences we're bringing to it? And, because you've been a professor of communication, this is like your jam. Or I should say your cookies.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of, I have a couple bags of tricks that I could, but that's back to what I was saying before. Like, Abby, I was trying to get at with Abby, like, do you see how I'm bringing it all together? The coaching experience, the experience around the world, the masters in communication, the experience in the classroom, the teaching public speaking, the getting people past their fear, organizing thoughts, curricularizing content. It's all, and then these little KloobySnacks come out.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And by the way, you say you can go deep, you can go deep, you can go deep. Patty, you and I both know we call that Kluba diving. Oh, Abby, are you going to let that one slide?
Mom and I are not a fan of this.
Okay. All right. So we're still okay. We're in last call for comments, questions, etc.
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, before my last comment is tonight's KloobySnack is another instance where, finally as a dad, I got to, read, and then hear you read it out loud. You express some humility, some maturity, some ability to look within, some hand raising of responsibility that you're, more ready to take than I would witness in real time situations. So I just think that it demonstrates some courage on your part, some ahead of your timeness on your part to be so reflective, to join me in this project, to write the way you did, and now to show up every week and basically share your vulnerability and your fearlessness with whoever is watching in the world. I think it's pretty remarkable, young lady. I'm awfully proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else from anyone before we dismiss for this week?
I would agree.
Yeah.
With your dad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you for being here. It made it special for us. Thank you so much for being here. Abby, you are a shooting star. Watch out, world. And thanks for joining me on another installment of Sunday Night KloobySnack time. No crumbs left behind. Eat them up. Snackalicious. All right, you guys. We'll see everybody next week. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.